My name is Julian, and I am 35 years old living here in Seattle. My days used to have a rhythm I loved, starting with the scent of brewing coffee and the happy wiggle of my best friend, Buster, a big, lovable golden retriever. We lived in a small apartment, just Buster and me, overlooking a street where rain was often a comforting companion. I worked as a software developer, a job I enjoyed not for grand dreams of wealth, but for the stability it brought and the simple pleasure of problem solving. Every afternoon, rain or shine, Buster and I would walk through the local park, him chasing squirrels, me just enjoying the quiet peace of the city's green spaces. My quiet struggle wasn't poverty, but a constant hum of worry about the future, about making sure Buster always had the best, about not becoming complacent. That worry felt like a small, distant cloud until the day it burst. One Tuesday morning, I was called into a meeting, and just like that, the company downsized, and my position was gone. It felt like the ground beneath me just vanished. The initial shock quickly turned into a cold dread, not for myself, not really, but for Buster. How would I keep up with everything? The internal nemesis that started whispering in my ear was the fear of failure, the fear of letting Buster down, the terror of not being enough. I threw myself into job searching with a fierce determination, sending out resumes every day, attending virtual interviews, trying to project confidence I didn't feel. I cut every single non-essential expense. Coffee shop trips were out, fancy dinners were a distant memory, and I even started walking everywhere instead of taking the bus to save a few dollars. But the severance package was running out, and the job market felt like a vast, empty ocean. Days blurred into weeks and weeks into months, each rejection a little chip away at my hope. Then Buster started slowing down. At first, it was just a little less bounce in his step, a missed meal here and there. I told myself it was just old age, but deep down, a new kind of terror began to bloom. One morning, he wouldn't get up. He was whimpering, his breathing shallow. I scooped him into my arms, his weight suddenly feeling fragile, and rushed him to the emergency veterinary clinic. The diagnosis came like a punch to the gut, a severe intestinal blockage that required immediate life-saving surgery. The cost was astronomical, thousands of dollars, a sum I simply did not have. My savings were gone, my credit cards were maxed out from covering basic expenses, and there was no job on the horizon. I called everyone I knew, swallowing my pride, explaining the situation, but everyone was either struggling themselves or couldn't lend me that kind of money. I felt utterly helpless, like a ship sinking in a storm with no land in sight. I sat there in the waiting room, Buster's worried eyes staring up at me from his carrier, and I felt the weight of the world press down on my chest until I could barely breathe. The thought of having to make a choice, to say goodbye to my best friend because of money, tore at my soul. This was my lowest point. I felt completely broken, lost in a despair so profound it eclipsed everything else. The vet technician, a kind woman with gentle hands, came out to speak with me. She explained the risks, the recovery, and then she paused, looking at me with a soft smile. "Mr. Thompson," she said, "there's something you need to know." My heart sank, bracing myself for worse news, for a complication, for an impossibility. "The surgery," she continued, "it's been paid for in full." My mouth went dry. "What?" I managed to croak out. She smiled again. "An anonymous donor, they just said to tell you it was from a friend from the park." I couldn't believe it. My eyes welled up instantly, tears blurring my vision. A friend from the park? Who? I thought of all the faces, the quick hellos, the shared smiles when Buster would chase a ball. It didn't matter who. Someone, a complete stranger, had seen my pain, my struggle, and had extended a hand when I had nothing left to give. It was a leap of faith for me to even accept such a grand kindness, but with Buster's life on the line, I could only whisper my thanks, tears streaming down my face. Buster had his surgery, and after a few anxious days, he was back home, a little groggy, but on the road to recovery. That act of unexpected kindness changed everything. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the belief that someone, somewhere, cared enough to help, and it ignited a spark of hope in me that I thought was extinguished forever. My new normal wasn't one of immediate financial abundance, but it was one rich with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. I eventually found a new job, not in software development, but at a local animal shelter working as an administrative assistant. It wasn't what I went to school for, but it felt right. I saw so many animals, so many worried owners, and I made it my mission to help where I could, whether it was through finding resources, volunteering my time, or simply offering a listening ear. I started a small fund at the shelter, contributing a portion of my paycheck each month, dedicated to helping families with unexpected veterinary bills, naming it the Park Fund. I never found out who that angel was, the one who saved Buster. But sometimes when Buster and I are walking through our old park, and I see a familiar face, a person who always used to smile at Buster. I catch a subtle nod, a shared glance, and I wonder. Regardless, the kindness lives on, because a little bit of goodness, shared unexpectedly, can truly blossom into a whole new, beautiful world.